Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that he's struggled compared to his standard. I mean, he's got 21 punch outs and 14 2/3. You know, he's been really good. He hasn't been as sharp as he normally is. And last week I thought was a good example of he had a breaking ball, but he didn't have a slider. And, you know, pitches that move east and west, you know, draw contact. Pitches that move north and south are usually the swing and miss pitches. So you think about Hunter Cranton, who really rode his fastball. You know, that gets a lot of swing and miss versus, you know, Reese Dutton, who sinks it. You know, more gets balls on the ground. So I think when Dom has his curveball going, he's as good as anyone in the country. And, you know, he's really fought his way through 3 starts. He's been great. He just hasn't been as sharp as he's been, and yet he's, you know, still pitching at a really high level. So I have, in the list of concerns I have in my life, Don Bagley is not on any list that I'm really concerned about.
And Manning has been super consistent. Has that maybe been a surprise, and what's allowed him to be so effective?
You know, Manning, we had really high expectations for him coming in. He had a billion strikeouts in summer baseball, broke the record in the league he was in, and it's just really, really good stuff. And it's a really good cutter. It's been a breaking ball. His changeup is good, and you know, Coach Hancock saw him this summer and really liked the cutter. And again, a guy that's worked really hard, super competitive. So I don't think anything about him has surprised us. The only critique I'd have with Manning is you look at last weekend, and I think in 3 of his innings he walked the leadoff guy, which it's just not a sustainable way to play baseball. You take those 3 leadoff walks away, and he probably gives us 7 innings. So, you know, the starters, the key to any team's success in college baseball, in the big leagues, and whatever, is innings pitched by a starting staff. So the fact that we're 3 weekends into the year and Coop has 12 1/3, Manning's got 14 2/3, Dom's got 14 2/3, and then Pat, probably the most impressive with 9 coming back from TJ. That's the makings of a really good starting staff in terms of innings pitched.
How have you seen Pat deal with easing back into action? It seems like it's gone pretty well for him.
Yeah, Pat has eased back into nothing. He is such a worker. You know, when he got hurt last year, he told me right away. I mean, right away. He said, "I'll be back for opening weekend next year." And I didn't doubt his intent. I didn't doubt his work ethic. I didn't doubt for a second his competitive nature to do that. But I also, you know, have been down this road a few times and know that path back is usually longer than it's been for him. Now, he is top 5 toughest dudes I've ever coached. I mean, he is a worker, and I don't think he feels pain. He is an incredibly focused individual, and I've been so impressed and so proud of how he's gone about it.
You guys get Derek Serta back this past weekend. What have you seen from him, and how much does he contribute to this depth that you guys have in the lineup?
Yeah, I think Derek's a huge piece back. I think it starts defensively. He's as good as any center fielder in the country. He's certainly as good as anyone I've ever coached, and I've been so blessed to coach some great ones. He sees a ton of pitches. So in Wichita last Saturday, he punched out on, I think, was it 13 pitches, 14 pitches? It was a really, really long at bat, and he ends up taking a borderline pitch, 50-50 pitch. It could go either way, and he got punched out on it. But, you know, it's 13, 14 pitches into the at bat. Like, that's an inning. So, you know, it's like you want pitchers to be inning eaters. Like, he's an inning eater offensively, and then like Tommy Barth played incredible center field the first 7.5 games of the year. And so now you bump him to a corner and put Derek in the middle, and now you've got, you know, 2/3 of the field covered by center fielders. So I think his presence is huge. He's an on-base guy, and you know he's gonna pick his spots too where he needs to drive the ball. Like he hammered that ball to left the other day. I think he thought it was out. He top spun it right off the bat. So I knew I had a pretty good suspicion that he's going to be standing on second. But he's just he's a great baseball player. He adds a run threat to our lineup, and then defensively, he's just super elite.
How valuable is it to have a guy like that who sees so many pitches just as in your leadoff spot?
Yeah, it's huge. And leading off is it's a bit of an art, and it takes a special guy to do it because you start the game, and I tell one of the tenets of our offense is if we get the leadoff guy on base 5 out of 9 innings, and this is just true of baseball. It's not just true of us, but you get the leadoff guy on 5 of the 9, you're most likely winning that game offensively. And the first inning's tough because the starting pitcher's always amped up. The leadoff guy's always going to get his best stuff, and there's no way to get into the flow. You see his 8, 10, whatever warm-up pitches they get now with their new pitch clock. You get to see those from the on-deck circle, but there's no, the last swings were an hour and a half before that during BP. So I think it takes a special patience to go up and be able to work that at bat. And we've done some good ones. We've had some great ones to lead off the year, and then we've had others where guys are amped and they swing at the first pitch and hit it 12 miles an hour, and then you're trying to create a long inning when a guy is basically starting the game with 1 out. So I think he's huge in the leadoff spot, and he's a tremendous competitor.
Coach, you mentioned Tommy Barth earlier. He's got 4 home runs his last 5 games, 8 RBIs in that stretch. What have you seen from him, and how has he, progressed since he came to campus?
Yeah, really good player. We were so thrilled to get him last summer in the portal. Put up great numbers for his previous 3 years, and then had a great summer in the Cape. And I think the thing that stuck out with Tommy was just what a great baseball player he was, and how much pop he has. I love the 4 home runs, but the 3 doubles and the triple, and he's about 1-to-1 on walks to hit by pitches to strikeouts. So when you look at the full package of getting on base and producing runs, and being able to protect other people in the lineup, he's been a huge addition. And then it's hard to know. I think stats are hard to evaluate defensively because you think of a great shortstop. A great shortstop is going to touch more balls than they just get to more balls. They're able to go in the hole and get their glove on it, or get a touch on one up the middle and dive. And so a rangy shortstop gets more touches than one without range. And so sometimes a guy's fielding 990, but he can defend a hula hoop. And other times a guy's defending 940, but he's got a monster range in which he can do it. And so you never really know what you're getting defensively unless you've seen it. And he had played some center field, but we didn't know, okay, is he going to be a guy that can kind of go gap to gap, or a guy that can really go gap to gap? And he did it tremendously well. So I think we knew we were getting a really good offensive player. I think we were probably a little surprised with how next level he's been defensively.
The Chase Diggins catcher thing, which you did again on Sunday, how much of a surprise has that been? How much of an asset is it?
It was. We approached a couple guys on the team and just candidly, we struggled behind the plate this fall, and then we went into parts of the fall going, hey, we've got depth everywhere, and catching is the one spot where we could probably add some. Now, I'll say this, that Ian Francis and Max Solis are both really, really good players, and are both really good defensively, and are going through some, normal baseball things offensively. So I think the predicament we had starting at the beginning of the year was Derek's not playing the first 8 games. When he comes back, how do we get our best lineup on the field? And then a lot of guys were playing really well, so then it became a predicament of, well, who do you take out? And at that point, we had messed with Chase back there enough to know that he's just a really good athlete and a really good baseball player. And the more and more we watched him, the more we're like, well, he does all the things that we need him to do. He catches it, he blocks it. He's got great hands. Now he does some unorthodox stuff. You know, he'll short hop a ball that most catchers block, but we do all kinds of unorthodox stuff behind the plate now. I mean, 10 years ago, if you would have said that catchers were going to be on one knee the entire game, people would have thought, you know, you're crazy. But he's taken to it very quickly, and I think it's just another thing that points to the humility of our group. Of I don't think any of them really care where they play, or they just want to be on the field. And so I think Chase saw it as an opportunity to strengthen our lineup. And you know, I hope it's not an everyday thing. We need Max and Ian to go, and I have full confidence that they will. And we need Diggy to, you know, he's clearly one of our best defenders in the infield. So I hope it's not an everyday thing, but he's certainly more than serviceable back there. He's been great.
You already talked a lot about the fan support last weekend, but how much of an asset can that be going forward if you guys are able to sustain it?
You know, it's hard to put it's hard to describe just the sheer energy that those guys bring. I mean, baseball is so, you know, I'm a little bit more hoarse right now, and I haven't. It's because I'm trying to get our guys' attention on the field. Like those guys are so loud. I mean, it's an unbelievably awesome problem to have. So it's an incredible home field advantage. Our guys love it. It's very unique. I've coached some amazing places and in some incredible environments, and I experienced stuff last weekend that I haven't experienced in a game, and I think the big picture of it is that it's a great picture of how the build has gone and some excitement that our guys have created with how they've played. And then I think it's a bigger picture of just how awesome the University of Kansas is, and Jayhawk Nation, and the support, and but our you know, those guys are so close to the dugout that you can just feel it. Like I most of the time as a baseball coach, you are trying to get your guys up and ready to go. And it's very rare that you have to work really hard to tone them down. And so I told them the other day, I said, hey guys, the fans are incredible. The energy is amazing. That doesn't turn the plate into 20 inches wide. It's still 17. Like, you cannot hit a grand slam with no one on base. And so we have to slow down and just go a pitch at a time. But yeah, the fan support has been absolutely bonkers. And then I think the other part of that is that when you take the students out of it, the crowd's been incredible. There were I don't know, 100 some kids running the bases after the game on Sunday. So baseball is an incredible sport for families, for students, for everyone. And I think, you know, we're seeing a great picture of how awesome Jayhawk Nation is.
There was a group of students that brought the Beware of the Hog banner. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on that, and do you want to make that a permanent thing out there?
Oh, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I thought it was great. I mean, the creativity of college students never ceases to amaze me. And whether or not it's permanent is significantly above my pay grade. I don't know how any of that works, but I do think it's I do think it's, you know, there were so many things that the student section did that were creative and kind of first time things, and I hope a bunch of them stick. But yeah, I thought the sign was awesome, and yeah, I thought it was a special moment.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you.